Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Esther Makwariola. Today on the program, Hoodlums allegedly enforcing IPOB sit-at-home set ablaze bus carrying foodstuffs in Enugu. And later on the show, protesters shut down Edo State over compulsory COVID-19 vaccination. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Dosun. Journalist Hangout starts now. Now, hoodlums are on the rampage in Enugu State in a bid to enforce the suspended sit-at-home order by the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. We are told they destroyed property and set ablaze a bus conveying tomatoes, vegetables and other foodstuffs to the state capital, Enugu. And according to an eyewitness, the vehicle was set ablaze by the hoodlums believed to be enforcing the order at Edem Junction, Ibeagwa, Nike, in Enugu East local government area at around 5:45 a.m. Babajide, this issue of continued sit-at-home order in the southeast leaves many a little bit concerned. Now, but what do you make of this continued sit-at-home order by the outlawed group in the southeast?
You know, I'm perplexed at this turn of events. IPOB's leadership came out to say we will no longer be enforcing the Monday sit-at-home directive, but on the days when Kanu will be brought to court, we will enforce sit-at-home. So, in the words of the IPOB leadership, this sit-at-home directive has already been vacated. So there's no reason in the world for people to be subjected to torture, to mental agony, for business premises to be attacked on account of enforcing a sit-at-home order that the authors of the sit-at-home, the people who instituted it in the first place, have said, no, we are no longer doing sit-at-home. The problem with this kind of ideas is that hoodlums, when you come up with ideas such as we can see the IPOB espousing, hoodlums easily get involved and hijack and even completely turn everything upside down. Everything that Kanu stood for, which is to not watch Ndigbo suffer. The boys who are beating people up, who are setting business premises ablaze, who are overturning people's pots of soup on Mondays. What they fail to realize is that they are going against even what Kanu himself stood for. I don't believe that Kanu will simply enjoy watching Ndigbo suffer. But this is what we are seeing here. This is what we are seeing. The other day, Ima Powerful, who is the media officer of IPOB, said that if the DSS do not present Kanu in court on the 21st of October, that it will now enforce 1 whole month of sit-at-home order, that it will show to the federal government that 60 million Igbo people were behind it. Now, how do you force people to simply sit in their homes for 1 whole month? What are they going to eat? Especially in an area that we already know them to be business people. You know, they take pride in doing business and being successful at it. That's what we know the Igbos for in this country. So those are the people that you want to keep at home for for 1 whole month. No one knows yet, and it's premature to even imagine that Kano will not be brought to court on the 21st. No one knows what will happen, but you can see that this is a dangerous, if this kind of threat is carried out, it's extremely dangerous. And I can understand why Ohaneze Ndigbo has come out to say, no, we oppose this. You can't say people should not go out for 21 days. That even Kano will never
agree to such.
We never allow the kind of suffering that will be visited on people if they were forced to sit inside their houses for for 1 whole month. Kano will never want to see that kind of suffering visited on these people. So we don't know the people who are carrying out these attacks on people. If IPOB says, no, we are no longer doing Monday, routine Monday sit at home, that it will only be on the days that Kano makes an appearance in court or when his case comes up. Why are Hoodlums still beating people? And that's the reason when governors say, come out, nothing will happen to you, come out. We've seen governors from the East even threatening people with sack if they don't show up at work on Mondays. But people are not listening because nobody wants to die. Don't we have a government in place where you see people being attacked, people being killed for coming out? So this is the thing. Those who value their lives, on Mondays, whether there is a directive in place that it should not be enforced, people simply sit in their homes to be on the safe side, because we don't even know who is going around now enforcing sit at home that IPOB claims it has vacated.
Dotun, it is really worrying, seeing what is happening in the Southeast. Where do you see this leading to?
Well, I think over time, one of the major lessons we are going to learn from this is that whenever we are going to have a protest, whether on the streets or it's a sit at home, we should learn that there must be a start point and there must be an end point. Leaving things open-ended in situations like this can only point us in two directions from what I've seen. Number one is the hijacking of such protests. Number two, for me, is going to be this persistent and continuous belief that is being created in the minds of Nigerians that Ndigbos do not respect their leadership. Because if you have put the weight on Nnamdi Kanu, I'm not saying he's the leader of the Ndigbo, but if you have put the weight on him, as we are made to believe by those who are enforcing this order, then you should get to a point where when the man says the game is over, listen to him. So it begins to now go back to what we have been saying, that see, when people argue here and there and say, why has the Southeast not produced the president? And they put it as it boiling down to the issue of leadership. You can begin to see it in this, that they don't respect their leaders. They don't listen to what they say, meaning that they are just taking advantage of this situation. Because this is not the first time. There was a report from one of the Southeast states where they burned down a trailer. Taking in cows into the region. Not once, not twice. There was one close to the Ed Bridge in Onitsha with electronics and other things meant for a shop around there. Inside a huge truck also, completely burnt. So you are
Okada, there was one I think last Monday,
Yes.
or maybe 2 weeks ago, the truck was loaded with motorbikes.
Motorbikes, yes. That's another one.
Going to Kogi State.
You know, so you are destroying the economy, whether you like it or not. About a week ago, the former governor of Abia State, our chief whip of the Senate, Orji Kalu, said the Southeast must have lost not less than 50 billion in terms of business owing to this madness. Because that's what I'll call it. Because you are gradually just killing the region where people survive on daily earnings. If you go to the whole of the Southeast, you find out that unlike the North and the Southwest, where the government employs heavily, most of them are traders. Most don't even want government jobs. They would rather trade and make money, but you shut them in every Monday.
They do better in commerce.
They do better in commerce, and we must give it to them. No doubt about that.
So, but Babajide, what will it take to turn things around? Even though, you know, with the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu, well, things are getting a little bit out of control. What will it take to turn things around? Would it take a speech from Nnamdi Kanu or an Igbo leader? What exactly do you think can be done in this case?
Maybe a recorded speech will go a long way. A recorded speech, because there are people who have also said, well, until they hear from the same man who pronounced that order in the first place, that they won't be convinced that it's been vacated, you know. So maybe a recorded speech, but here he is in detention, and I don't know whether Nigerian authorities can allow that to happen, or whether even he will be ready to do that.
Exactly. Will he be willing to?
Because he's in detention, he's not happy where he is. So how do you then go to him and tell him to accept that idea comes from him? I know that the Southeast Caucus of the National Assembly is working around the clock looking for a political solution to this matter, which will result in the unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu and the renunciation of violence by his group. I don't know whether that will be successful, but I think that it's also something that can be given a try.
Yeah.
We've seen people who rose up against their government agree to come to a round table and to make peace. We've seen that happen in different places. We've seen even sworn enemies who swore to spill each other's blood come to the round table to agree to have talks. So I will encourage the Southeast Caucus of the National Assembly to pursue that political solution, because I believe the political solution will calm things down in the East and ensure that we have peace. I said before, when we were recording some gains against the ESN and IPOB, I said this kind of groups, they don't give up easily, because there are some people who believe that, look, whatever you say, pursuing the ideas that IPOB stands for is the best. So how do you convince those people? It's like a dogma. How do you convince them that, look, it makes no sense to continue to pursue the division of Nigeria or a country of your own within Nigeria? So I still believe, as I said earlier, that political solution is desirable, and if we can have that, then it will make a rapid, give us a rapid improvement in terms of security in this area, because police stations are still being attacked, INEC offices are still being attacked. There are some problems that you can't solve militarily. If you remember, at the time when the militants were breaking pipelines, were sabotaging Nigeria's export terminals in the south, we thought we could use military means. But we were wasting our time. In fact, some of the people who were deployed to the area were sinking in the creeks. It was the same people that they were told to kill that were saving their lives.
Well,
so in the end, we had to look for a way to reach out to those boys. And the moment we reached out to them, the attack stopped.
All right, let's quickly take this call from Kafanchan. Chidi, please go ahead with your contribution. Oh dear, apologies, it seems to have lost connection with Chidi there, but if you can reach us again, we will definitely take your call this time around. So Babajide, with what the positions you've mentioned so far, which definitely should be looked into, but knowing how volatile, the region is at the moment, how do you think the government can handle the situation so that we do not have more loss of lives and property?
I still think that the solution can only come from IPOB itself. Because these governors have made appeals, people are not listening. So I believe that the key to solving this problem is IPOB itself, because IPOB came up with this idea of sit at home, and it's IPOB that can put an end to it. I tell you, if the man who is in detention is made to make an address that, look, I don't want this, let this stop, I don't want to see my people suffer this and that, it will solve the problem. But how do you get someone who is in detention to start issuing maybe political statement and all that? It's really tough. You can say, okay, let our communities be policed, but we don't have enough police personnel, we don't have enough police soldiers to police every community. So there are places where they can police, but the places where you don't find them, these boys will go and burn police stations there, they will go and burn INEC offices there, and they will go and attack people going around or going to their workplaces on Monday. So I still believe that a political solution
must be found.
Yes, is the best.
Let's quickly take this call from Enugu. Please go ahead with your contribution, Emeka.
Thank you, sir. I think we'll continue to pray for the long life of Babajide and this journalist. Babajide, I believe if this government can get close to you or your program, you have always provided a solution to Nigerian problem. You discuss as a nation builder. You see the way it should be. But because at times, some extremists or some persons who are benefiting from certain policies who don't like such your voice to get to the president, why won't get closer to you? You always provide a solution to Nigerian problem. Okay, what is happening in Southeast here is that the way IPOB was proscribed had made certain persons come out and speak out. He has created fear on them for federal might not to descend on them as terrorists or somebody who is supporting terrorist group. I believe if this political solution, as you said, conclude, it can address this problem. You can now see when at times there's an attack, people will say they are not behind such attack. There are other possibly sympathizers who are not ready to listen to anything or just to make sure that whatever man can say is what they are doing.
All right, Emeka, many point taken there. I appreciate your contribution. Apologies for interrupting your flow of thoughts, but thank you very much for what you've said so far on the show. So, Doctor, with this situation on ground, what more do you think the government should do to handle this rather, difficult situation?
Well, I think for me, I believe the handling of the case against Nnamdi Kanu should have been better. it just shows that the system we've adopted over time, where we designate some people as people to be watched, to be kept out of the society, where once they get into the old of any of our secret services, especially the Department of State Services, there is always a problem. Because you ask, fine, I completely agree, the man was granted bail, it disappeared. So it needs to be properly watched, especially when he's taken to court, so that nobody plays a fast one on them and then it disappears again. I completely agree with that, because you don't grant a man bail and then he escapes and then you treat him with levity when you get him back in. But what does it cost the DSS to ensure that this man appears in court anytime there is a sitting? It's a big question. You have him in your custody. You know the days he's supposed to be in court. And then on that day, you go to court and you say you can find him. You can bring him to court.
And
You have not brought
It's not as if he's paralyzed.
a
or he
letter
can't
to the
walk.
court to say this man can't come because
Can't
he's
walk.
ill. Even when he's ill, the one that we believed was stage managed, they brought the former National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party to court on a stretcher. We've seen that before in this country. So what is difficult in this?
With neck braces. Well.
Yes, with neck braces.
You don't need to go too much detail.
No, I'm just remembering
In
that.
that scenario. So what is difficult in this? A man is in your custody. Bring him to court. It becomes a problem. We don't need to go back to the days of the military when everything was done without any iota of democracy. We're in a democratic setting. This man, you have said you are taking, you can't, arrest him and find him guilty and keep him in your custody yourself. A court must help you to make that pronouncement. And that's what IPOB is asking for. Bring him to court. Even this, our
I
own
don't know what's
system.
difficult in bringing someone.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Even our own justice system too. Look at this kind of critical case that is causing a whole region problem. You have adjourned for almost 1 month. For me, I don't think that is necessary. We should treat cases as they come, on their merits. This is causing a whole region problem.
Absolutely.
And that is spreading to other regions too. Because people who do businesses in the southwest can't move into the southeast on certain days. You can't say, I'm not sure I'll get to a city in the southeast on Sunday and set out. If you make the mistake of getting there at 12 a.m. on Monday, then it means you are done for. That's the meaning.
Let's quickly take this call from Owerri. Chukwemeka, please go ahead with your contribution. You're live.
All right. Good evening, TVC News.
Good evening.
And I'm calling from Owerri. Yeah, honestly speaking, I've been listening and watching with rapt attention. I want to believe that Babajide has actually given us what I may consider a way out of this situation. This case should be handled politically. And I don't want the federal government should continue to grandstand on
dear,
to be
apologies.
incarcerated, knowing fully well that whether we like it or not, this young man commands the respect of millions of Igbo youths across the length and breadth of this country.
Yeah.
I disagree with the gentleman that was talking about granting him that he jumped there, but have also forgotten the circumstances that led to his exiting this country in the first place, that the military invaded his home and almost killed him. The law of nature demands that if somebody goes after your life, you are not a tree. You must have to move to save your life first. So let the federal government realize the need to ensure that there's stability in the southeast. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Chukwemeka, for your contribution there. So,
You know, many Nigerians who clearly were not following the Kano bail issue and were ignorant of developments at the court were saying, "Oh, arrest Habaribe, arrest Habaribe." But the judge who gave that, who
Granted
that bail, revoked it. she listened to Abaribe. Abaribe said, see, this is what this man said. He said that if he did not escape, he would have been killed. So he revoked the bail bond on Abaribe. So Abaribe was no longer culpable. But a lot of our people don't know. Till tomorrow they still say they should
be responsible.
Abaribe has nothing on him on this matter anymore, because the judge listened to his argument that, look, what could I have done? This person said they invaded his house. They were going. They thought that they were going to kill him if he did not escape, and he had to escape, and the judge listened.
And at that point, let's quickly go on a very quick break. We'll be back with more discussions on this very matter. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're still on the sit-at-home order by IPOB. We still have our discussants in the studio with us, Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Oladipo Dotun, to be sharing their thoughts earlier on. So, Babajide, what political decisions do you think can be, done to ensure the situation that is happening in the southeast can be handled, perfectly?
I think that the diversity of our country can be better managed, and the government of the day has a lot to do in this regard. I am a lover of our country. I believe in the indivisibility of Nigeria, but I also know that to cement the unity of our country, we've got to make all the federating units feel that they belong, feel that they are wanted, feel that there is something in the country for them. So when we look at political appointment into security positions, we have got to respect the federal character principle. We can't simply use the federal character principle when it favors. It pleases us. No, that was not why it was designed in the first place. Some of the agitations that gave birth to IPOB, gave birth to even agitations to get out of this contraption called Nigeria in the south and in the southeast, and in the southwest, they have to be addressed. We have to be more even-handed in the distribution of political appointments. That's the essence of the federal character principle. That's the essence of it. People feel marginalized. People feel marginalized. Is part of what Nnamdi Kanu was fighting for, although I oppose the idea of now resorting to violence, in making your voice heard. But the reasons why these agitations began, we must address them if we are looking for a lasting solution. Whatever we do that does not address the source of these agitations will only be remedial in nature. It won't permanently solve this problem. Kanu will go today.
Another one will come
Another
tomorrow.
person may
There
come.
are so many of them waiting. So many.
Sunday Igboho, yes, you can say he's illiterate, but there are some Nigerians from the southwest who are literate, who are interested. Yes,
Professors.
When you say professor, they will think it's the Akintoye. There are not that old man. There are other people, a lot of them in the diaspora.
Doctors.
Some of them, brilliant people, when you listen to them, they've lost faith in the entity called Nigeria. We've got to make moves that reassure our people. That is the point that I'm making. We've got to make moves that reassure our people. You can imagine Atiku saying the other day that the present government has mismanaged the diversity of our country. Atiku. You know? So these things have to be consciously managed in a manner that will help us to ease the tension in our country, calm things down, and everyone would now feel that, yes, indeed, this is our country, and we will do whatever it takes to keep Nigeria one.
Unity.
Why did we fight a civil war? It's for us to remain one indivisible entity.
Yeah.
Whatever will push us to another war, we must not let it happen.
Absolutely. Well, let's quickly take this call. Sunday, calling from Lagos here. Please go ahead with a contribution.
Hello.
Good evening. Please go ahead. We are live.
Good evening. Please, thank you, this is Hangout. Thank you for the passion you are showing for the problem. What is difficult in releasing this man? What offense has he committed? Is it a crime? Which portion of Nigeria?
There seems to have lost connection there again. So, Dr., let's have your thoughts on what Babajide has posited earlier on.
Yes, I completely agree with him that consciously we need to let people feel this is my Nigeria. And the way you can do it is quite simple. Let every region, let every state be equally represented when you are sharing appointments, including those involved in intelligence agencies, the military and the paramilitary. It's quite important. When you know that my man is a part of this system, there's that thing that is in you. We must not bring my man down. It's always there in us.
The sense of belongingness.
You are just there. Let everybody also know that, see, like they will say, one day, it will become my turn. We say, we go as rock. So they won't want to destroy. But you can imagine that of recent, a top northerners saying they had the votes, the numbers, to keep the presidency in the north. That doesn't sound like a reasonable man speaking. Because if you are sensitive to the tension in the country now, you won't say such. You will not. So we should know that at the level where appointments even become political, like I said, maybe in the military, paramilitary, because once you get to a certain level, it's political. It's no longer how well, or no, I mean, it becomes, so let let it be done well in a way that people have this sense of belonging. It's our country. We must always be able to say that. We must always be able to say that.
All right, let's move on to our next issue of discussion for today. Members of the civil society organizations and students' unions aren't happy with Edo State government over compulsory vaccination. Well, they have staged a massive protest against the policy of no COVID-19 vaccination, no entry into public places. The protesters, who grounded vehicular and human movements in major parts in the metropolis, asked the government to share COVID-19 palliatives and not the vaccine. Babajide, sharing the palliative instead of the vaccine. Let's have your thoughts about this. Nigerians' attitude towards receiving the jab. What can be done to convince the Nigerians that this vaccine is for our own good and not otherwise?
You see, they were not simply saying share palliatives. They were saying we need security in Edo, not vaccine. We will resist any form of executive rascality. Hunger killing us, not COVID-19. Those are some of the messages that the placards they were carrying bore. But you see, the first time when this story was first reported that the governor of Edo State had decided that vaccination must be compulsory and made up his mind to bar people from entering public places unless they were vaccinated. I remember that we opposed the idea. Not that we don't want our people vaccinated, not that we do not see the value in vaccinating people. But you see, it is clear that in public health, such terminologies as compulsory, mandatory, enforcement, and all that do not work. You must find an effective modality to communicate your message using persuasion to bring about some form of behavioral change. Gentle persuasion, showing superior argument. That way, you'll be able to convince people that, look, it is for their own good. To simply say those who refuse to get vaccinated are endangering the lives of other people. At a time when only 4.6 million Nigerians, at the last count, had been vaccinated by the federal government. At a time when, even if all Nigerians were prepared to get vaccinated, we have no means of making that happen. Because how many doses of these vaccines do we even have access to? So there's a problem there. Even if if all of them said, okay, today we want to be vaccinated, that governor has no means
to vaccinate everyone.
To vaccinate even 1/4 of the Edo people. He can't, if they made up their mind,
1/10.
he cannot.
They can't.
Let's even be generous. To say, okay, 1/4. I'm saying, if all of Edo people
I get you.
say they want this vaccine, he has no means by which he can vaccinate even 1/4. And it's so shameful that Edo State, UBTH, is described as the headquarters of community medicine in our country. Professor Okoje, who heads that unit, is one of the best doctors in the world. He's a world-class physician. So to now hear that this sort of problem is happening in that part of the country, that state, that physicians see as the capital of community medicine in our country, is something that bothers me. You simply can't. The federal government too wanted to come up with this kind of idea. Remember, 6 states, including Ogun State, said no. We would rather persuade our people. We will not force our people. Ogun, Cross River, and the rest of them, they said no. They let the federal government realize that they will not be interested in using force on their people. So I think that the governor did not take the right decision, and now we are facing some sort of embarrassment, because if they start picketing government institutions now, they have said that this is just a warning, that these protests that ensure that they locked up major roads in Benin, that is just the beginning. Because of what? You know, other states have said, look, we will not violate the rights of our people. We will simply appeal to them. I'm telling you, even in the UK, I remember Manchester United, one of their goalkeepers caught the virus. And pressmen asked the manager, is it that you've not vaccinated all of your players? The manager said, there are some players who have refused to be vaccinated, and we can't force them.
You can't force them.
That is the thing. You can't force them. Their bodies belong to them. As much as it makes sense, you get the point. We are not against it. It makes sense for everyone to be vaccinated, but we are saying that persuasion is better than attempting to force people. Because it will not work.
Doctor, do you share the same sentiments with persuasion as alternative to...
I do really. I do really. Because, like Biku also said, in setting out to make something compulsory, then it means the thing is available. That's just the logic.
Right.
When it's not available, and you say it's compulsory, then you are standing logic on its head. It means the governor did not do his own work well. It means those who advised him, except he's one of those governors who believe that every decision starts and stops on their table. Otherwise, it's a very wrong decision to have taken. What he has now done with this protest is that he has now even exposed the state to more danger. Because these things spread faster in gatherings.
No.
That's what he has done. So why don't you just, in taking decisions like this, ensure that the people understand what the issues are? If you observe, since the governor came under fire, you now see them reporting the processes of their COVID-19 team in Edo State. Before, it was almost nil. You weren't hearing anything from the state. Nobody knew people were dying at that level. But it came under fire now and then. So people should be enlightened. They should know what the situation is. Every day now you must read in the newspaper, read it online, hear it on the radio and TV. So number of people have died. These were the circumstances. These were with places. We need to provide information so that people themselves say, oh, so this is really happening.
I know that it means well, but
this
method is not going to work.
All right, let's quickly take this call from Jos. Ahmed, please go ahead with your contribution.
Hello? Good evening.
Good evening, Ahmed. You're live. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm calling from Jos.
Yes, we heard you. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to talk about, let's get back to Inadikanu issue that people have spoken about earlier. I can't imagine somebody was saying which crime Inadikanu has committed. I hope if the table is turned around, the other person come up with a similar agenda in future, that person will still stand at his position.
Hello, Ahmed. It seems to have lost connectivity. Apologies there, but if you can call back, we will take your contribution. So, Babajide, Dr. rightly mentioned, understanding the severity of the virus perhaps is key to, ensure people understand why they need to take the vaccine. But what other measures, needs to be done to perhaps persuade the people to know that, it's not all that bad to take the vaccine, but, it's for your own good and for the good of others around you as well?
Some of the steps that have been taken in the West, we don't have the financial wherewithal because they give you incentives to get vaccinated.
They give incentives to work.
What kind of incentives?
Even monetary incentive. Monetary incentive you get. Yes.
In some places, you bring your certificate and you get employment.
So
if you don't come with it, you won't.
So you think that should work in this case?
No, I'm saying that we can't. That's not practicable here. Let's not talk about what we cannot. The level. Look at the level. We were given palliatives here to people, but what did we do? We didn't even manage it well. But over there, look at this kind of money that the Trump administration committed to easing the pains of the people as a result of the
lockdown
pandemic, because people lost their jobs. And Nigerians too, tens of millions of Nigerians too lost their jobs. But did they get any form of
palliative
support? Because simply giving people a bag of, a carton of Indomie, it's not supporting the real sense of the word. Yes, when are they going? In no time they've
exhausted it.
Children who are at home, who are not in school, they eat a lot more.
Yes.
You are a mother, you know what I'm talking about.
Of course I do.
They wake up at midnight, eat bread, go back to browse, come back again.
You won't even know when they eat the food.
Yes.
You'll be asking the question, how did this happen in this house?
There is a disused refrigerator in my wife's room. That's why she puts bread. Bread is 650 for God's sake.
You can't eat it anyhow again.
He moved from 250 to 650. You know, under one calendar year. So you put it there, it will sneak in,
Grab it.
put it there. They will think that she's already completely lost in sleep, you see. Who is that? But instead of the boy to go back and drop the thing, he will just quickly open the door. Because others are waiting.
Others are waiting.
So this is the thing.
For the goods to arrive.
The point I'm making is during the lockdown, children were not in school. For the parents, they got to spend a lot more on feeding.
Yeah.
So what is the level of support that Nigerians got during this time?
Do you know that in some states in the US, during that lockdown, children were at home. They told the children where to come, centers for their parents to bring them to collect
rations.
They were, because some of them, they were giving them lunch in school, so they will make a week's ration available to them to take home. So they had no problem. But can we afford it?
We don't.
We cannot.
Our economy can't support
So
that large scale.
No, we cannot. The kind of thing we can do now is to ensure that we run our economy well. That's the kind of thing we should.
Let's quickly take this call from Niger State. Umar, please go ahead. You're live.
Good evening. You're speaking with Etsu Umar. I'm calling from Minan, Niger State.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Babajide. I want to personally appreciate you for your work. Well done. Many of us from the north here, we're always happy seeing you because we really appreciate you.
Thanks.
I want to talk about this sit-at-home issue that is actually going on. Babajide, many of us were not happy in the north, and just like as what you said, maybe use who will to really handle it. We are not happy seeing the council and stay in the but what we are saying, they should also consider what is actually going on. And there are people are actually this issue of poverty is everywhere. Everybody feels marginalized over the day. If you come to Niger State, look at how many of us are not happy the way the government, the federal government, the way they are treating this issue of people for the past 4 days. I want you to do a special package on that. Right now, they block the trailers blocked for the past 4 days now. So if we talk about the vaccination, you have said it all, Babajide. They should not force anybody. It shouldn't be compulsory. It should be just will. If you are interested to do it, you should do it.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We want to appreciate your TVC program, Babajide. Thank you.
Thank you. We are grateful. Great our Niger people.
So what do you have to say about what you just posited earlier on, Babajide, with regards to the vaccination now? You know, you mentioned rightly said that, you know, perhaps incentives like monetary incentives will do, but, you know, in our case, we can't really, you know, do so much. But, you know, what would you suggest that needs to be done so that, you know, people get to...
The enlightenment, even the enlightenment has to be better.
Right.
For example, how much enlightenment are we doing? Enlightenment is not simply to put something on TV. It's not everyone who has access to TV.
Right.
Enlightenment can even involve moving from street to street or going to major street to say, look, this is what government is doing. You've got to support the government. This is for your own good. Get people can speak in the language that people understand, different languages. Because a lot of our people are illiterate. They don't even understand these issues. Look at the lies that people are peddling about COVID-19 that is getting people to see COVID-19 as something designed to take our lives. So there's a lot of enlightenment that we also need to do. When we exhaust that fully, honestly, we will see some level of improvement. But let's even improve in terms of access to this vaccine. Let's improve that, so that those who are interested, at least they will be vaccinated. But we don't have enough. We don't have enough. The governor of Edo State has to stop this ridiculous yes, order that he has made, because it will not work.
And Dr., final thoughts?
Yes, my final thoughts, I've said this on this program about 2 or 3 times. Just the last point BKO made, we need to improve on access to the vaccines. And the best way out is for us to get serious in this country and get approval to produce.
Indeed. Well, that's a fine place to live it, gentlemen. Many thanks for your insights. Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Dr. Oladipo, as usual, thank you very much for your insights on the show this evening. Well, that's about it on today's edition of Journalist Hangout. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of the program. And don't forget to join us again on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. on Sunday. Well, we are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Maparela. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.